And I've already told you. Are you serious? Goodness. It's fine. It's fine. Hi, hello, and welcome. Apparently, so it's like the phone can't wait to go live today. Hello? At least I have the orientation set up right. I was setting it up on my laptop because some of the options are limited for me on mobile. I'm not like a big boy YouTuber, so big person YouTube energy may be might have more settings that I don't have. So I like to do it on my laptop and then start it on my phone. Right? If I'm going to use my phone. I'm using this mic today. But I'm like trying to make sure it's on. Because one time it went off. And like, so I would schedule it, and then on my phone, before I could change the orientation, it would just go live. So I was like, okay, well, let me I tried that twice, didn't work. I was like, well, let me start it on my phone, change the orientation first, schedule the live, so that I can edit the settings from my laptop and then go live. So I get on my laptop to change the settings, and it says I'm live. I was like, wait, what do you mean? I may still be able to change it. Give me 1 second. I'm like doing the most today. I may not do the most days, honestly. It's genetic. I get it from my mom and my dad and my grandparents. I get it from everybody, I guess. Everybody everywhere. Cool. I can still change this after it's live. So I'm like over here on my laptop now. I'm saving the changes, and boom, there we go. Oh my gosh, Kathy! Hello, Twitty. How are you? How you doing? How's it going? Oh gosh. Oh goodness. I know. I was just thinking about you. On Connections yesterday, one of the categories was like horror films that came out in 2022. And I was like, oh, I know somebody who knows somebody who worked on that movie. Oh, that's fine. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for popping by. Thanks for popping by. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for popping in. How's it going? I know I'm back. So, ooh, I'll put this on today. Why not? I'm feeling it. The movie was Smile. I was like, oh. Like, I wonder how Kathy's doing. I hope everything is well in your neck of the woods. And yeah, we'll have to catch up sometime. I have to let you know what I'm up to. I mean, when I get up to something, I'll have to let you know what I'm up to. So today I want to use similar decks. So I have the Wild Unknown Tarot. Now I have like the regular version and the smaller version. Oh wow! So wait, is this the same Hush Hush project that he was in the UK for, or is this a different Hush Hush project? That is so awesome. Do you ever do you ever get to travel? Is there like a bring your mom to work day? That would be so fun. Oh, well, they should do that. A different one. Ooh. Nice. I was actually, I think it was towards the end of my stay in London. I don't know what they were filming. They were filming something on Canary Wharf at the, like, I think around Jubilee Plaza. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I can sign an NDA, you know. Yeah, I don't know what they were filming, but they had quite a bit of the area like roped off, and there were a bunch of cars with license plates from like Oklahoma. I was like, what? Like, are these prop license plates? Or are we really having folks from Oklahoma bringing their cars over? Oh, goodness. Excuse me, overseas. I I don't like horror movies. So when he does a project that is released and no longer confidential, let me know if it's not a horror movie. you know, and I got most of them. I don't like. I just didn't know all the movies that came out that year. It was Smile, Scream, um, another movie that I had heard of, and then like a fourth one, like Pearl or Pearls or something like that. I was like, what is that? So I didn't. I knew the categories that day, but I didn't know all four things in the categories. So, but yeah, I'm using the mini and or the pocket and regular edition of the Spirit Keepers Tarot, and I have two editions of the Astral Matrix Tarot that are similarly sized. So the analog mechanics. What does that mean? Is it like a? Was it like a not like a platform, but did something like pop up? Wait. So, excuse me, I was on the treadmill today at the gym because I went in today because it was a little warm outside. And I was listening without my audiobook. I don't know what to listen to. So I was like, well, let me just listen to that last video. Or the OJL one, which I believe was the last video. Like, I guess I could have checked. I think that's the last time I was live. But it felt like, did I go live yesterday? It felt like there was another video after that one. And I don't think so. I don't know why it felt like that. But anyway, as I was listening to the video back, because I knew, and of course, like there were things that I caught that I didn't catch when I was reading it, that I caught when I was listening to it. Like how in the beginning, I was talking about turgor pressure with the oleum vitrioli and magnum opus, the great work in the oil of vitriol, where it's like if you yell at something to be better, the phone may be skewed, the camera angle may be out of tilt. I did my best. But it was like, if you're yelling at something to do better or to be great, under that pressure, it could shrink away. Because, it's not, that environment isn't conducive to greatness and success. And it was like, if the with Dr. Emoto's research, how water like forms these like ice crystals if you speak like positive words, and these other shapes if you like if they're negative. Those, when I was talking about how like the positive words kind of like lock the liquid molecules into a certain lattice that allows the liquid to expand to push up against the cell wall to give like that turgor pressure. But with negativity or with force, it's like those that lattice structure is broken, so the water kind of like collapses in on itself a little bit, pulls away from the cell wall, there's less pressure, and then the flowers start to wilt. Then, when the Four of Wands came out in the Quantum Tarot, it was like where electromagnetic forces meet weak forces. And those weak forces are like, again, like after I knew what was coming later, when I was listening to it in the beginning, I was like, oh, those weak forces, like that's the quasi crystalline structure that the water molecules form in the liquid state. Those weak inner, because it's like with water, with liquid water, the molecules are like fast enough and slippery enough that their bonds and connections between each other don't stick. When you freeze water, the molecules slow down to the point where they get to form their like hydrogen bonding. They do the hydrogen bonding thing, and then those weak interactions, like because they're not moving as fast, they have time to solidify and to stick. And that's why solid water as a solid has like more volume than water as a liquid, because when it's a liquid, those bonds are formed and broken, formed and broken, formed and broken. It's just like all over the place. But when they're solid, they like lock a fixed distance apart. Anyway, I was like, oh, like that whole turgor pressure thing is weak forces. But also, for some reason, when I read, especially like energies, sometimes I feel like more often than not, I read the energy of the thing and then I try to piece together like how it could apply to us as people. And that's where sometimes I get lost in the weeds of like, well, you know, we could feel this type of way, we could feel that type of way. Things go left, they could go right. You know, we can fall into camps of how we would react to this. For some reason, when I was reading the second Saturn retrograde thing, excuse me, I was reading it as if we were trying to create gaseous gold. But when I was listening to it on the treadmill today, it was like, I'm like trying to put words to it now. It was like Saturn was making the gold, and it's trying to make gold accessible to us. And it was like eating solid gold is difficult. Like it could be easy enough to like flake gold and to eat gold flakes, but it's like the structure of solid gold is sound enough that the body won't digest it. And so it'll just like, we'll poop it right out, right? But with the deep sea energy and the bends, it's like if you could get that gaseous gold and then we're in a deep sea environment, because pressure affects the absorption and dissolution of gases, it's like we could just absorb gaseous gold directly into the bloodstream, just like nitrogen gets absorbed into the bloodstream. And I was like, oh. And then it was the whole like smoke of or the breath of Saturn and the fog of Neptune thing, when it was like when I was first reading it, it read like something happening in the world. That, especially the sentiments and attitudes of a few years ago, admittedly, I don't run into it as much as I used to. It could be like something happening in the world that we would be quick to label as a distraction. Like, this is a distraction and that's a distraction, and all of these things are distracting you from something. But a distraction in a way of like, it's illusory, it's not real, it's not happening. But with it actually being the breath of Saturn, it's like, no, this is something like, see you later, Kathy. Me too. Thank you. I I love it. Don't always like, it's hard to make sense out of. I mean, maybe it's not hard to make sense out of. It's just like, if this resonates, you know. Anyway, it was so lovely to see. Yeah, especially because like you were just on my mind and then you popped up. So what was I saying? With the gaseous gold, it's absorbed through the body. At those deep sea pressures, it's absorbed a lot easier, and it's absorbed directly into the bloodstream. And since it's already like particleized, it's more accessible to the body. Like, you don't have to digest it, you don't have to break it down, right? I was talking about the breath of Saturn. Yeah, when I first came across the breath of Saturn and Neptunian fog, it was like, it could be that, but it feels like this is something that's real. It could be something that's a consequence. Like, whatever we could easily see as illusion has substance. Now, I'm like, let's see what's up over here. So, I'm going to use the Water-Known Alchemy again, but this time, instead of reading the alchemy, I'm going to use the numbers, right? Because the thing about intuition and discernment is we will get whatever we need to get. The thing about cards is that you kind of sort of only get what the cards give you. And sometimes from a card, from an image, from a traditional meaning, we can get that in, like, more often than not, if not all the time. We get what we need intuitively, but like the alchemy itself, the writing in the book itself may not necessarily always be, I'm not going to say it won't always be applicable, because if that is what we sit down with the intention of, then our intentions will be honored, right? The divine will work within the bounds as good as it can to give us what we need. But this time, excuse me, it's on the house. This time, I'm just going to get the number and use the numbers to get cards. I kind of want, I can have tarot to clarify, but I kind of want oracle cards. I was going to use the Archeo archetypes, so I could use one of these. So this is one. I could use dragons. If we're talking about breath and fog and smoke. Actually, yeah. So anyway, when I was re-listening to it on the treadmill, it was like, oh, like Saturn is the one that is aerosolizing, sublimating gold. Not us. Well, you know, it could be taken multiple ways. Especially because there was magnum opus and whatever the other card was. Rotatio and magnum opus in like the first part, Saturn retrograde 1. So yes. Cool. Let's see. I know I want to use these. I don't know what other deck I want to use. One of the cards will be an Archeo archetype. The Illuminator. An Arbiter. The Illuminator and the Arbiter. Interesting. I'm using my phone today, obviously. I see a dragon. Maybe I will use the dragons. Star Dragon. It's the demon on here, but it looks like a dragon. Which is interesting. Oh girl. She does a lot of Pisces readings. I was listening to one of her videos last night, and she talked about how in the Bible, I think it came out, where it was like God will give you dominion over the dragons and the snakes and stuff like that. And she was like, the dragons were associated with the seraphim, and the snake is associated with Shiva, Lord Shiva. But she also talked about like the imagery of the dragon and the snake and how it's seen as like negative in some cultures and belief systems and societies. Sure, I'll go for it. Why not? We'll put these here. But I only need one of these. I could do one of those and 2 dragons. Oh, it's literally right here. Ooh. Right? I'm going to pull before and after Saturn, Breath, Neptune, and Fog. Hey, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I could do it that way. I mean, ultimately, and then even when I was thinking about it, I was like, I just like saw it in a different way. Oh, and then I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, in the lineup of planets, what's between Saturn and Neptune? Between Saturn and Neptune is Uranus. Saturn and Neptune both retrograding early Aries. Uranus just entered Gemini not too long ago. So they're actually sextiling Uranus. I was like, wow, so maybe I should look around Uranus. It's almost like Uranus could be the vessel receptor of that Saturnian Neptunian energy and is like doing whatever somehow. And then I like got to the part where the other cards came out with like the sun, and I was like, excuse me, getting like, I don't know. That's why every now and then I'll watch a video back. Because it'll hit different. Especially if I do like, a lot of the videos are longer. Sometimes I'll catch things from earlier. Sometimes I won't. But when I watch it back, And especially when I remember like what comes later, I'm like, oh, like this is a precursor to that other thing. Or I could see how this fits within the same sort of metaphor. Like I said earlier about how Turgor pressure came out earlier, but somewhere in the final cards, I think that's when weak forces came out. And like those van der Waals interactions and stuff like that. Dipoles and quasi dipoles. I was like, oh, I see it now. Oops. Oh, goodness. It's fine. My allergies are like better today, too. I feel like I could like take a nap now. Maybe this is like, I need to get into that Piscean mode, enter a semi-dream state, be like half asleep. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I don't have enough room. Excuse me, I say I don't have enough room, but this is, for some reason, when I use this configuration, it feels like I have less room than when I use my laptop. Even though I have the same two surfaces. Should we just get into it? Yes, but what are we getting into? So for the dragons, I'm going to pull one of each. Like we have number 21, Resilience, Finding Your Limits, and the Crystal Yellow Dragon opens you to higher learning and wisdom. Expand your crown chakra for illumination. Walk the higher spiritual path. We saw illumination before. This could be... I'm going to pull both of these. I'm going to pull one of each. And I was like, oh, I'll just pull them so I can show them. Finding your limits and opening yourself to higher learning, wisdom, and expanding your crown chakra. We actually did see crown chakra came out when I used the Dysology program. And I looked before and after the crown portal. Excuse me. And the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. Right. And then there was the whole whoever goes to Jupiter to get more stupider. But it's not that someone like loses intelligence when they go to Jupiter. It's not like brain cells just start to atrophy all over the place. It's someone learns how much there is that they don't know through that expansion of Jupiter. This pulling on that turgor pressure is, you could say it's like breaking the cell wall, or it's like, excuse me, expanding the cellular membrane to hit the cell wall. I wonder if our limits, either it's like our limits aren't, either way, our limits aren't where we think they are. And either we'll like break a glass ceiling and explore outside of that box, or we'll realize that like we haven't reached a limit. Either way, the limitation is going to be beyond where we think. Cute. I'm gonna give these another shuffle. So I'm gonna get one before smoke, and I'm gonna get before and after smoke. I'm gonna get the other one before and after fog. Before, I'll just set them on the table like this. The left one will go left, and the right one will go right, and I will pull the corresponding number, and that will be the breath. I said smoke or fog before breath or fog. Around Saturn and Neptune, I have the Archeo. Excuse me. The Archeo for one, and the Tarot for the other. And then I'll clarify the Tarot. I also had a thought of like, if I do read, because sometimes, like, and I'll say it, like, I'm reading like the energy of Sagittarius. This isn't necessarily reading like Sagittarians, right? Like the energy of Sagittarius versus like reading Sagittarians. And then our access to Sagittarius, or Sagittarius's access to us, falls within our birth charts, right? Sometimes it's like that. So I had an idea to read like the energy of the planet and then clarify that, and then clarify that, kind of what I did for the last one, to get like how, like our interaction with that. And then in between is the void of space and communication and the veil, however that looks. Excuse me, you see that Jupiter? Interesting. Expanding, going beyond your limitations. And again, oh yeah, because it was the drowned king, right? That, you could say it's the territory of Scorpio, but she was giving me Neptune, right? Because Neptune rules the seas and oceans. Or whatever. Right? Yeah. Glass and synchronicity. Does that mean like I saw it? Like, yeah, girl, you did that. So, with that target pressure, also, because then I was thinking about it, I'm all over the place in a lot of these. It is par for the course at this point. I'm pretty sure y'all know that. Because I was kind of like mind blown. I was like seeing it in this different way of like, oh, like Neptune is providing that deep oceanic pressure that allows for gas to be absorbed and to dissolve more easily, more readily, more quickly. Saturn is like providing the gold, maybe, or is like atomizing, vaporizing, sublimating the gold. Right, like Neptune provides the environment, Saturn provides the nutrients, and then we go in there, and under that pressure, we take it in more easily and more readily. So then I was like, oh, well, maybe that Four of Wands, if the weak forces of the turgor pressure, if, you know, again, with the whole emotal, what you speak into the water, the structures that they form, and what, like, certain structures just occupy more space, and so they create more pressure. Then that could be like an alignment to these like cosmic movements, because the Four of Wands was the meeting point of electromagnetic forces and those weak interactions. And again, when I was first looking at it, I was like, oh, well, you know, it read the way that it read at first, and then after I listened back to it, I was like, oh. You know what I mean? Oh, glass in the benevolent spirit. Benevolent guide, spiritus rector. That's interesting. Because for a hot minute, that benevolent spirit was anything but. Okay. Copper again. Copper is just like constantly coming out lately. I mean, it's a great energy, so love that. Silver Argentum at the bottom of the deck. We see the moon. Copper and sulfur. 23 and 29. Sulfur is associated with fire, right? And we did see the demon. Because it's water, salt, sulfur, and air. Water is water, salt is the earth, sulfur is fire, mercury is air. I'm not. I'm interested, I'm intrigued, but I'm not going to look. Am I going to look? Sure, I'll read it. Because the other alchemy, obviously the card that comes out is going to color it in some way, but I'm more so looking for the numbers. I'm gathering significators from the Wada known alchemy, and I'm actually reading the dragons and the tarot. But this sulfur has me curious. One before glass, by the way. Excuse me. Sulfur is evaporation. So we had sublimation is to go from solid to gas. Evaporation is to go from liquid to gas. Evaporation up and out, both and. On an esoteric level, sulfur is the first of what is known in alchemy as tria prima, or the three primes, along with salt and mercury. It makes up, along with salt and mercury, it makes up a threefold phenomenon that symbolizes the uniting of soul, sulfur, body, salt, and mind, mercury. On a tactile level, sulfur is responsible for both the off-putting smells and the therapeutic properties of a mineral bath. It soothes and it stinks, literally. To understand sulfur is to embrace a both-and mentality. Don't be discouraged if the meaning of this card seems to evaporate before your eyes. For now, keep in mind that what is gross contains beauty, and what is beautiful contains its own demise. Sulfur's job is to push the geyser up and out, dissipating the pressure. Don't be surprised if what appears to suck or stink soon becomes a great gift. Okay. It's all for your good and for your betterment, obviously, like always. And then we get that nice golden-hued, coppery, loving energy, that Venusian philea that has been coming out constantly. Love it. My mom was just talking about Yellowstone earlier today. So, like, geysers and stuff. Yellowstone is where Old Faithful is, right? And not Yosemite. I'm using my phone to go live, so I can't look it up. It's fine. I was just telling her, I was like, I feel like I get Yellowstone and Yosemite confused. We're looking for Neptune, Saturn, breath, and fog. The breath of Saturn, the fog of Neptune. Just got to remind myself. I should have put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Oh well. Smoke. We're not looking for smoke, but number 52, Earth's Heart, smoke, and after smoke is the new pearl, Margarita Preciosa, which is 44. 52, 44, 7, 8, 32, which is a mirror of 23. And copper is 23? Yeah, 32, 23. New pearl and earth's heart. Interesting. Love that energy. And then the sun splendor is under that new pearl with the androgen under sun splendor. And you can see the spider from Rotatio in that. But we're not looking for those. And then calcification, the great alchemical operation of fire. Cool. We did have sulfur. And then, look, Venus and calcification, where we had sulfur and copper. I'm like, oh, you can. I'm all up in here, all up in the camera. It is what it is. The great alchemical operation of fire, sulfur, the soul fire. Venus and the element of Venus, which is copper. And look, there's sublimation behind Venus. Sulfur was evaporation. This is sublimation. From liquid to gas, from solid to gas. They don't have condensation in this deck or desublimation. I guess you have coagulation, which may be like condensation. Like the opposite of evaporation is condensation. That's when you get a gas that condenses into a liquid. Neptune is here. So we have 10, which we saw yesterday. Neptune and sap of the moon plant, which we saw recently. Oh, and then immediately after sap of the moon plant is Saturn. And after Saturn is conjunction. Saturn and Neptune are conjuncting right now. Cool. After conjunction is the Sun. And then Pluto, who's been coming out. So we need smoke and fog. So we have the Raven's Head. Fog. And reddening, which is number 15, and 15 is the devil. Under reddening, we have the Drowned King, which has all those like gold pearls in the ocean. She was giving us the ocean depths. So now we're looking for breath, pneuma. And we see another. No. Okay. Well, we did see this. Virgin's milk. We saw Virgin's milk and sap of the moon plant together. Virgin's milk, breath, and resin. Before Virgin's milk is antimony that we just saw. After resin is the uncreated, which the uncreated clarified Neptune yesterday. I forget what was on the other side of the uncreated. It was Quicksilver. Quicksilver, Neptune, and the uncreated. Because it had like, is it a flash in the pan? Like that kind of energy. Where it was like flaring in and out of existence. Cool. So, dragons. The left one on the left side, the right one on the right side. So we're getting the 40th dragon and the 46th. XL 40 VII 47. 47 and 40. There's only like, there's less than 40, I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. We have transformation, defining yourself, and knowledge. We just saw 21 bazillions. 2 plus 1 is a 3. Now 3, transformation is here. Transformation, defining yourself, and knowledge. Now that's interesting because it's almost giving the energy of a blueprint, right? Where it's like a blueprint, or that's a blueprint. I feel like I'm trying to find another word for blueprint. Like a blueprint or a mold. Like a blueprint being something that holds like the specifications for the construction of a thing. A mold being a vessel that you pour something into, it sets, and then you break off the mold and it takes that shape and form. As we are defining ourselves, and then we saw like knowing your limits in the 21, and like opening your vessel to a higher consciousness and stuff like that. Again, with the whole like Clark Kent Superman of the second Saturn RX yesterday, the one that was like gold dust exists in space. It's like, as we're in a process of transformation, or as we're deciding what, it's like we're in a process of transformation. And we're deciding through our choices, actions, behaviors, decisions, stuff like that, what we are transforming into and what the world is transforming into. But there's only so much knowledge of what we in the world can become that we have. And a lot of that knowledge is either based upon things of the past, or it's either a direct reflection of the past, or it's a distortion of the past. A direct reflection of the past being like repeating some old cycle or season, going back to the way things were at some point in time. A distortion of the past being like, because we experienced this in the past, it caused us to hope for this in the future. And so it's still like related to something of the past, but it's not to experience the same past. But our potential exists beyond that. On the other side is 15 and 38. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 38. I guess this is the only one I'm actually showing. At the bottoms here, we have the silver lunar dragon, and we literally just saw silver with the moon on it, and the golden Christed dragon. The silver lunar dragon and the golden Christed dragon. We have silver and gold dragons. Also, the two keys of the Hierophant, a key of silver of the moon and the key of gold of the sun. Silver lunar dragon bathes you in divine feminine light. Come into balance and practice peace, harmony, and cooperation. Expand your causal chakra. Golden Christed Dragon brings you higher love so that you embody the Christ light. Absorb the Christ light, you are protected. Expand your heart and remain fifth dimensional. Both of these talk about expansion. Expand your heart, expand your causal chakra. And the dragon before talked about expansion. Cool. Ten is here. I was going to be like, this is a lot of expansive energy for Jupiter not being present. And then I was like, well, Jupiter rules Pisces and Neptune also rules Pisces. But 10 is here with Neptune. 10 is an energy of expansion, but it's one that's not necessarily supported. And again, in the Saturn RX 1, Saturn is either it's like supporting that which needs to be supported, or like removing that which is incapable of being supported, or removing that which needs support but that does not support our ultimate like goal, right? Cool. I'll do the Archeos next. So 21 for 10 and 41 for Sap of the Moon plant. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Here. 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. I guess there's 42 of these. Who are you? Have I ever seen you before? Oh, girl. The final card was Fatalist. And I guess, oh, the Illuminator. This Fatalist reminds me of the Eight of Swords that we saw in the Happy Tarot. It was the Eight of Swords and the Seven of Swords. This is such an interesting card. Right? Like, she is on there blindfolded, but she has like, she's smiling. There's a comfortable expression on her face. She's on this wheel. We saw the great alchemical operation of the wheel rotatio yesterday. Saturn RX1. But the wheel itself, like there's no ground beneath the wheel. But these three individuals and that other wheel are holding it up. So there doesn't need to be any ground beneath the wheel. Because she goes where the wheel goes. It's like she doesn't need to see. And then again, we have the Illuminator on the other side. Because the Illuminator is here, it's like the blindfold gets taken off. Who are you? Face down card. Oh, it's the blank one. Wait, where are you face down? You're supposed to be. I didn't know you had a back. Why would it? Wow! I just left it. So her blindfold is gonna come off. And the question is, like, what's her reaction going to be? Is she going to freak out because the wheel that she's standing on isn't touching the ground? Or is she just going to maintain the same placid peace that, like, she has? Because it's almost like even with the thing, even with the blindfold coming off, her situation doesn't change. And then, how am I going to do this? I want to do same for same. So let's move these up here. And I'll move this down here. I guess I'll get you first. I guess these are just like clarifiers, so they don't really need to be seen. All right, so 41, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 41. 41 is judgment. We have the King of Cups and the Eight of Swords. King of Cups again. He's looking at the Eight of Swords. As I'm looking at it, he's facing away from the Eight of Swords. As I show you, he's looking at the Eight of Swords. This is how I see it when I turn the cards back to look. So we'll put this here. Then I'll get into all of the clarifiers. This deck I will use in a moment. And let's get this one. So I'm looking for the 71st card. Oh my goodness. It'd be easier to just go like from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Oh, girl, I got distracted. I was thinking about whatever's coming next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70, 71. So we have the Eight of Wands, Strength, and because I split the cards, we'll have another one. The Ten of Swords. Eight of Wands, Ten of Swords, Strength. The Ten of Swords is interesting because we saw the Ten of Swords yesterday. That was a whole in the Clark Kent of it all. The Ten of Swords and the Nine of Wands. Okay. Where do I start? So I can give you all the clarifiers first. The Ace of Pentacles and the Mother of Pentacles somehow stayed on the table. I was like, why are these cards face down? Hello? This is interesting. What I saw as the Ten of Swords being the bottom was actually the Ace of Pentacles and the Mother of Pentacles. So it would have been probably either the Ace of Pentacles or the Mother of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands and Strength. But we saw the Ten of Swords, the Eight of Wands and Strength. This by itself is an interesting energy because it changes our approach. Right? Like if we have the Eight of Wands and the Strength card, that means that like something is happening. It's happening fast, and either we have the strength to endure or we're going to have to be strong. When the thing is the Ten of Swords, it's like you're preparing for the worst, you're bracing yourself, you're doing your whole zombie apocalypse, disaster preparedness, hoarding your, necessities and, but with it being like the Mother of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands and Strength, it's like instead of preparing for the worst with the Ten of Swords, you're like bracing yourself for better. Excuse me, it took an hour just to get here. I haven't really eaten, like, for real today. I had an untoasted bagel and some custard. So, around Neptune, we have the Warrior and Judgment. Like the Warrior and the Phoenix. Around Fog, we have Bliss, Cherishing the Day, and Kuan Yin's Pink Dragon brings firm love that resets your karmic balance. See all your cards dissolved by transcendent See all your cords dissolved by transcendent love. Enjoy your freedom. Look for the divine around you. We have bliss, freedom, love from the divine that resets a karmic balance. This is okay. Around Saturn, we have intimate and the world. And then around breath, we have number 9, choice, understanding consequences, and the golden Atlantean dragon. Helps you remember the wisdom of golden Atlantis. Awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents. Reclaim your mastery. Oh, girl. Saturn is like, ain't can play. I almost want to like, I almost want to switch the breath and the fog. For some reason, like understanding consequences, remembering the wisdom of God on Atlantis, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, reclaim your mastery. Like that low hanging fruit right off the cuff fits easier into the warrior and judgment. And then bliss, cherishing the day, and Kuan Yin's pink dragon of like divine love and karmic balance reset seems to fall more under like intimate and the world. But that ain't how that came out. Now, because they're conjuncting and all of this is working together, does it really matter? Ultimately, kind of, sort of, no. I would say no, but because we saw knowledge and transformation, I'm going to say yes. I would say no because the energy is the energy. And if both are present, it doesn't matter, right? It's like if Bob is bringing burgers and Sally is bringing salad, like, going to be there. So you're going to have burgers and salad. It doesn't matter if Sally's bringing burgers. If they both show up, you'll have both things there. So that's why I would lean towards like it doesn't matter. But because we saw knowledge, because knowledge with that transformation guided by some kind of knowledge, and because we saw like finding your limits and basically exceeding them, I'm going to say there is actually like a difference beyond just semantics. Honestly, these fit the energies of the planets, right? Because Neptune is that like dreamy Piscean illusion fantasy can be. So to have like bliss and pink dragon associated with Neptune and like remembrance associated with Saturn, yes. So maybe what really doesn't fit is the warrior and judgment on Neptune with intimate in the world on Saturn. Again, it doesn't matter. We also have 6 and 9, which are mirrors of each other. Bliss and choice being mirrors of each other. We saw alchemy number 69 yesterday. I think it was 61 and 69. 69 was, it's not rotatio. It is rotatio, 69 rotation. Also, excuse me, there was ICC 9696. I don't remember what came out in ICC 9696. Did I tie the Neptune retrograde into that one? I don't think so. But maybe I did. I'm going to clarify the clarifiers with the corresponding decks. So I'm looking before and after judgment over here, and then the world on the other side. Is this judgment? Are you judgment? Yeah, it is judgment. We have the Empress in the tower. Before the Empress is the Wheel of Fortune. After the Tower is the Queen of Cups. So there's the wheel, with rotatio being the great alchemical operation of the wheel. And then there's the Queen of Cups. Behind the Queen of Cups is the Ten of Swords. That's interesting. The Queen of Cups is facing the Ten of Swords. In this deck, in the other deck, like same deck, different copy. In the other copy of this same deck, the King of Cups was looking away from the Ten of Swords. I don't know if that necessarily matters or not, but it's an interesting thing to note. The King of Cups. The King of Cups actually came out. Was it the King of Cups and the Hanged Man that came out yesterday? Around the Page of Coins that I clarified. Excuse me, Under the Sun on Saturn RX2. But the entry for the King of Cups in the Happy Tarot mentioned like a detached compassion. We saw the King of Cups with the Five of Swords. And it was the energy of like someone who's going around helping everyone, except like they're not actually helping anyone. They're doing what they think people need. They're giving the help that they think people need because their compassion is detached. They look away from the Ten of Swords. The Queen of Cups doesn't look away. So she's able to give someone what they actually need. It's a little bit of a golden rule, platinum rule situation. The golden rule is to treat others how you wish to be treated. The platinum rule is to treat others how they wish to be treated, right? If you are feeling however you're feeling and your comfort food is whatever your comfort food is, like that would help you. If someone else is feeling something similar and their comfort food is different, for you to give them your comfort food may not necessarily comfort them in the way that it would you. Golden rule. To give them their comfort food so that they will be comforted in that moment is to give them what they need. Platinum rule. The Empress in the Tower. This is so interesting. Obviously, there's like the eye of God in the tower, right? But then I'm looking at her peacock fan and like all of the eyes on the fan from the peacock feathers. And she's just like holding it. (316) March 16th, Pisces season. This is Neptune. This is so interesting. Energetically, it's like everyone is going through their own individual tower. And this is some energy that sits. It's like, say, this is the divine with their peacock fan. One of these eyes is like on this tower, and every eye is located somewhere else. Some of them are connected on the fan. I can't see. There you go. Some of them are connected on the fan, like on the same feather. Some of them are on completely different feathers. It's giving that not only omniscience, but also like omnipresence. Maybe it's more omnipresence than omniscience, honestly. Now let's find before and after the world. That was the Wheel of Fortune. Almost stops. Interesting. So we have the Three of Swords, the world, and the Star. The Star is a card of healing. Before the Three of Swords is the Father of Wands and the Three of Wands. After the Star is the Eight of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. This is because, so again, the Ten of Swords was a false bottom. It was actually the Ace of Pentacles and the Mother of Pentacles. And it was that whole energy of like, it's our approach to something that causes things to kind of sort of go down one way or another. This Three of Swords energy will be healed or has been healed, or there's something that is available because it's healed. Yesterday we saw the Knight of Swords heading towards the Three of Swords. I think it was the Queen of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and the Three of Swords. There's that Queen of Cups again. And in this deck, or when I clarified Neptune, the Queen of Swords was facing the Ten of Swords rather than the King of Cups who looked away from it. There's almost, that kind of sort of came out too. It did come out in one of the readings. Where it's like there's something that the detached compassion of the King of Swords isn't comfortable with. And so they'll just like throw out solutions or immediately try to like soothe or balm. It was amusement. Amusement park came out in reverse, but like the coffee shop was upright. And it was like meaningful interactions that aren't just about like light and joy and levity, because sometimes we have to be willing to have difficult conversations. And it's like the King of Cups is unable to have difficult conversations because they don't want to be emotionally moved or stirred. And to have that conversation with the depth or the presence that it really requires would be to be emotionally moved. And the King of Cups is notoriously unmoving. Let me just make sure ain't nobody like cooking nothing. Okay. The King of Cups is notoriously unmoving. But the Queen of Cups, like, she extends that compassion. Anyway, in this deck in particular, the Three of Swords is a corridor. It's a corridor in our heart that is blocked because of some past pain, trauma, heartbreak, whatever. It's a pathway in life that is we close ourselves off to, or it's something that's not available to us because of some kind of heartbreak, trauma, like we don't want to get our hopes up again type energy. But with that being healed, with the star card energy, the pathway becomes open. We do the thing that we never thought we would do. Again, this is like fine. So the Three of Swords would be the limit that we found. It was resistance number 21 breaks down to a 3. Here's the 3. Three of Swords and the Empress, both to the right of the significator, right? And then to the left of the significator, we have 17 in the star or 16 in the tower. But yeah, it's like this Three of Swords would be our limit. And we have to, I guess you could say we have to find it, acknowledge it, heal, integrate enough of it that we can walk that path, even if we're blindfolded. Even if we have to keep the blindfold on, we can have enough trust and faith to walk in this deep, dark corridor regardless. It's like riding a bicycle and you have someone that is balancing you. Like if you're, I was going to say if you're a kid, but people learn how to ride bikes at all ages. Like you have someone to help you balance on the bicycle and then they let go and you're balancing yourself. And it's like, again, with the illuminator here, when you realize that the person has let go of the bike and you are balancing yourself, does that realization, illumination immediately cause you to like fall? Or do you like acknowledge and accept the fact that you're balancing yourself and that you can balance yourself and then you like keep riding the bike? It's almost mental at that point, right? In the beginning, when you were learning, you didn't think you could balance yourself. That's why maybe you couldn't balance yourself. That's why you needed someone to hold the bike, or to like help you. But when the time comes that you can balance yourself and when it's illuminated to you that you can balance yourself, do you doubt that and cause yourself to fall, or do you trust in it and continue to move forward? Is that it? I feel like I don't have to read this anymore because I'm not. All the cards are on the table now. Um, I'm gonna do one more because Uranus is in the middle. I am gonna pull before and after Uranus because Uranus is in between in order Neptune and Saturn, and it's also pretty exactly, I think, sextiling these two as they retrograde as the like sort of sticking point. Question mark. Where's Uranus? Hello? I'm looking for that stained glass. There's Jupiter, Mars. Here's Uranus. Ash, Uranus, and coagulation. Maybe I shouldn't have looked before and after Uranus. I don't even know. I can pull a third deck. I'll show you. Ash, Uranus, coagulation. Well, here's Ash and coagulation. And there's Uranus. This is giving me 3366. Oh, wow. XXXIII 33. LX60 VI6. 33 and 66. Flanking the 8 of Uranus. It's like with Ash and Uranus, something is falling apart. It's being burned down. But with coagulation in Uranus, or with Uranus and coagulation, it's coming back together. When it comes back together, is it going to take the same shape, form, and function as it had when it originally fell apart? Or is it going to be reconfigured in some way? She's giving low-hanging fruit, lock and key, enzyme substrate interactions. And we talked about the catalyst, how it was like the catalyst is the thing that lets something happen, right? If things are separated by miles and miles and miles to the point where they'll never interact with each other, they're never going to interact with each other. But if you put them both in the same room, now those interactions are much more likely to happen. If you put them both in the same section of the room, even more likely. If you sit them right across from one another, even more likely. If you do that whole like now kiss, then they're gonna kiss if they listen, right? They may not. They may not consent to that. Oops. What deck am I gonna use? Because the stained glass is so colorful, I'm just gonna reach right down and pull from the SKT Revelations edition. As the deck is. Let's see. This is 33 and 66. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. I pulled before and after the 33rd and 66th cards. We have the Scarlet Shield at the bottom and the Bread of Life at the cut. Bread of Life is the Ace of Pentacles in this deck. Oh, we have two. Goodness. In the SKT, especially, the pages, the heralds, I can't remember what they're called in the Vitruvian edition now. They're heralds in the Revelations edition, strongholds in the Vitruvian edition. They come with messages. So I'm going to shuffle this deck, and we're going to get both of them. I guess we'll get... Do I get both? Sure. The message of the Herald of the Winds. What I'll do is I'm going to give it two more shuffles and a cut. The message of the Herald of the Winds will be at the top of the deck. The message of the Herald of the Earth will be at the bottom. Cool. I'm like, where do I set this? So, on the side of... And it's interesting that we see coagulation here because I asked the question of, like, we have evaporation and we have sublimation, but do we have, like, condensation? And I was like, well, I guess we have the coagulation card. And it's here. The 10 of Wands and the Ace of Cups. So the card that came out for the 66th card was the Shining Flame, Embers of the Salamander. Which is interesting because it has a similar shape and form to Kuan Yin's dragon. Kuan Yin's pink dragon. But it's like a baby dragon. So you see that little dragon? And then there's Kuan Yin's pink dragon. Embers of the Salamander. Like embers of a flame, like a little flame. It's between the Burdened One and the Holy Grail. Ace of Chalices, the Purifying, and the 10 of Scepters. This is on the side of the thing coming back together. With coagulation. On the other side, we have the Hector, which is the Five of Swords. We see again, we saw the Five of Swords yesterday. The Herald of the Winds, Ventures of the Dauntless, and the Herald of the Earth, dedication of the Adept. The 33rd card was the Herald of the Winds, Ventures of the Dauntless. Because we see dedication of the Adept and Ventures of the Dauntless, it gives this Hector an indomitable energy. Also, we see the owl up there giving Athena. I mean, not just the owl, also the goddess. Um, the eye of the owl is in the fog card. There. I'm actually going to read the Hector. Yeah, because it's the Ventures of the Dauntless and the dedication of the Adept, it's giving more like be indomitable. But this is technically on the side of things falling apart and falling to ash. So maybe where something was indomitable, it is. I don't know. We'll see. There are the fours. Here are the fives. The Hector was the greatest warrior of ancient Troy, and through that namesake, the Hector is the spirit of indomitable strength. But it is indomitable strength at any cost, and it will cost you. The Five of Swords marks the defeat of your opponents by unfair advantage. There is an imbalance of power in the situation at hand. Heed also, the Hector is the spirit of that which upon, excuse me, the Hector is the spirit upon that which, the Hector is the spirit of that which upon first impression is predicted by all to be victorious, but who will end in defeat if you do not learn the important lessons. The Hector is here trying to impart to you indomitable strength does not come from lording your power over others. It comes from using your charisma to sway others. Pictured in the background is a reference to the Trojan War. Aphrodite on the left is aiding Hector, the Trojan warrior. Athena in owl form aids the Greek warrior Achilles. Be mindful and keep your aggressions in check. Do not lash out in anger or spite. Don't use your words to hurt others because you can. Yeah, that's the side of things like falling apart. The message of the Herald of the Earth first is Sacred Fire. Under that is the warrior. Hey, look, there's a warrior. And under the warrior is the chariot. Under the chariot is the Archangel of Mysteries. I'm trying to think of a warrior in a chariot. Like, chariot is Apollo. But she's not giving Apollo. I think the King of Cups in the Apocalypsis Tarot Apocalypsis is Apollo. Is it the King of Cups or the Prince of Cups? I think it's the King of Cups. We have this Ace of the Awakening, Sacred Flame. Oh, the message of the Herald of the Earth, dedication of the Adept is the Awakening. We have the Golden Atlantean Dragon, and it says Awaken. So another tie to the other dragon. Cool. The message of the Herald of the Winds is the Erudite, Hermit of the Mysteries. Hermit of the Mysteries, Archangel of Mysteries. Maybe that's why I went so deep. Under the Archangel of Mysteries is the Initiate. Being initiated into the mysteries, the Hermit, Hermit of the Mysteries, Lux Ex Tenebris, Light and Darkness. Oh, cute. maybe it feels like on this side, we see why the Neptunian warrior is softening. Like, because it was like the warrior phoenix, or the phoenix warrior, the arising of warriors to fight another day. But the fog of Neptune was bliss in Kuan Yin's pink dragon. She brings firm love that resets your karmic balance. It's like it's because the karmic balance is reset, because all the cords are dissolved by transcendent love, whatever previous grievance there was, and this is relative, take it as it resonates if it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it, and if it does, apply a heaping amount of discernment. But it's like, as you are forgiven, so too must you forgive. And when you forgive, there's no past to like wage war over. This is like the phoenix and the judgment of this warrior. Like, this is the warrior getting a new lease on life, another opportunity to live. And it's a warrior energy that's seen enough battle and bloodshed that it knows it doesn't want to stain its new life. Now, it's not necessarily to like let anything and everything happen, but it's like there's no reason to actively pursue something like vengeance, right? And I just looked up Simikiel and Zadkiel, Angels of Vengeance and Mercy, the other day. Right? The sword of vengeance cuts both ways. And if everything is forgiven, if the karmic board is reset to zero, if all debts are cleared, then to seek retribution from a past transgression is to incur a fresh debt, but to be the originator of that debt, right? Because the past was forgiven, the balance is wiped away. So it's like you can't use the excuse of like, well, this person started it, because that was part of the balance that was cleaned. And so that's why it's like it would be the energy of a fresh transgression, free of historical context and connotation, free of like, well, back here when this was happening and that was happening. And maybe it's the nature of the new beginning that's being offered. However this applies, to whatever scope this applies. And again, it's like, just because like the past is forgiven, or just because a debt has been balanced or cleared, doesn't mean like there doesn't have to be a fresh transgression, but you also don't like have to incur more debt either. Like, you don't have to be transgressed against either. And maybe that depends on you and how you operate life, right? Like, if you're the type of person that gives people time and space and like the chance to prove who they are, and once you get an idea of how and who someone is, then you interact with them accordingly, right? Like, trust is built and developed. Then it would be like you're building a new trust with somebody. And so, like, again, even if it's the same person, it's like, you start at square zero rather than starting at square negative, whatever. You start at square zero. When you have progressed 5 steps, this is where we are. 10 steps, that's where we are. 15 steps, that's where we are. But to treat the situation as it is. Potentially, if it resonates, take it. Because it's like it would bring old karma into a new situation. Like with the fresh transgression, it's like it keeps the cycle going, even if the chains have been broken. Enjoy your freedom. Look for the divine around you. Bliss. Cherishing the day. It's like one person's fight is over and another's fight has just begun. With the Empress in the Tower, the warrior could be the Empress here. Right? The Hector mentioned unfair advantage. The warrior could be the Empress, where the warrior decides what approach is necessary for whichever situation. What approach is necessary for the situation, right? And it's like, just because the warrior goes into their like era of bliss and freedom does not necessarily mean that they all of a sudden forget the way of the sword and the blade. Like, this could be an enforcement of boundaries if necessary, right? Like, again, not to necessarily get too deep into the humanity of it all, but it's like, maybe not everyone gets that karmic reset. Even if everyone does get the same karmic reset, maybe not everyone makes the same choice and decision to proceed forward in a different way. Right? So and again, that was kind of the thing with knowledge and transformation. We're in a space of transformation. Regardless of how we move forward, things are in a state of flux and change. Are we going to go back to repeating whatever has already happened? Or are we going to move forward and do something different? Right? This is the doing something different of like Bliss and Kuan Yin's Pink Dragon. But just because someone is in there like just because someone's in there doing something different era doesn't mean that now all of a sudden they have to like be a doormat. Because historically, I'll say, there have been people that would take advantage of like a kindness or whatever. It's like, oh, well, like you're not defending whatever anymore. Like, you're a retired warrior. You're not coming out of alignment. You're in your like peace and kombucha and yoga era. Okay, well, like now's the time to try to do whatever. And then it's like the warrior will pick up the sword again. It's like, no, Tower, like that's not what's happening here. Just because I'm not in my warrior era anymore doesn't mean that you get to come in and take advantage and I'm just going to roll over and let you, type of energy. It's that kind of energy. But the warrior is the Empress, and the Empress decides. Ultimately, the Empress decides. Even if the Tower is warranted, what kind of Tower is she going to be? Cool. Also, I think that kind of plays into the bliss of it all. Like the Ten of Wands, Bird of London, the Ace of Cups, Holy Grail. It's like the energy of, as someone is putting themselves back together, piecing their life back together, deciding what they're going to transform into. Maybe on the other side of that coin is the whole like, just like allowing themselves to do something different, or to be something different, right? It's like you have the warrior, and they really like baking. They want to be a patissier. They want to work at a patisserie. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. They want to bake. They want to be a baker. There we go. They want to be a baker. They want to bake baked goods and sell them at their baked goods shop. Um, but they're like, well, can I be a baker? Like, I didn't learn how to crack eggs when I was on the battlefield. And then like cue whoever that's like, oh girl, well, if you can crack a skull, you can crack an egg, okay? And it's like, all right, calm down. um, can you tell I'm getting like lost in the metaphor? I'm a Pisces. I'm kidding. Um, but it's like some of this, like, well, like, can I actually do this? Because I don't know, like, I've never been taught this. This is something that was never expected of me, and I was never rewarded for it. Maybe there was an energy of expectation. And maybe for a long time, someone did what they were expected to do. Maybe they actually liked it. Maybe they did like it. The stereotype, the common theme, story, low-hanging fruit is that they didn't like it. But maybe they did enjoy it because they were good at it. But now they want to do something else. Now they've like left an old life behind. But because we are, I want to like continually incarnate beings. Like if someone has multiple phases and chapters of their life within one lifetime, it's like, even if we're in a different stage, even if we're in a different era, like we're still the same person that we've always been, even if we've changed as a person. Right? So it's not like reincarnating as a completely different whatever without those expectations and without that history. Like it's a continuously incarnate whatever. So as we make that transition, things are going to like, we have to give ourselves the time, space, and patience to change with the changes. Cool. There's so many cars on this itty bitty surface now. So that was the Neptune part. It's like the change that we've dreamed of, like receiving the change that we've dreamed of, but needing to like make that leap. Right? Like it's possible type energy. On the Saturnian side, we have intimate and the world. We have intimate in conjunction, by the way. And they're on separate clarifiers. Intimate clarifying sap of the moonflower, moon plant. And then the other one was conjunction, which is clarified by the world. The dragons that we have, let me remind myself, we have Choice and the Golden Atlantean Dragon. This is an interesting, I want to say it's an interesting combination, but it kind of isn't. It's like awakening as a choice. Remembering as a choice. Bringing back your knowledge, gifts, and talents is a choice. Reclaiming your mastery is a choice. These are all things that we choose to do. And in making those choices and decisions, we also have to be open to, willing to receive the consequences of those choices and decisions. Right? And again, low-hanging fruit, past previous iterations of humanity and the humanness of it all. It can be, it used to be, am I going to start using past language? If it applies, it's fine. I'm not going to get into the weeds of it all. Well, if it's like, I'll get into the past language. Why not? It's like it used to be so easy to make a choice and expect a result. And like not think that we would have to, for lack of a different phrase, do the work to get it. It's like I choose bliss. And because we consciously choose bliss, there is this expectation that everything is now all of a sudden blissful and like amazing. But the consequence of us like choosing bliss is us choosing happiness, us choosing security and stability, us choosing peace in situations where it may be easier to not choose peace, or us making the hard choice to create a peace when peace has to be, seized, captured, won. WON. Like, those are the consequences of that choice. The consequences are like the way that we live our lives to make that our reality. Right? It's like if you choose to be a millionaire, the consequence of that in the metaphor being, okay, well, you gotta get a job where you have a multi-million-dollar salary, clock in, clock out, do the work. Like, that's the consequence of that choice. And it's like we used to think that, like, oh, like I chose to be I chose to be a millionaire because I didn't want to have to work. So I'm not going to clock in and out, but you're still going to give me my $1,000,000 because I chose to be a millionaire. And it's like, sure, you don't have to clock in. You ain't got to show up to work, but you're not going to get paid. So however that million is going to find you, may it find you there. And because of how we view choice and manifestation or whatever, we could have looked at that and been like, oh, well, that's not for me. Because when I chose to manifest the million, I chose to manifest it through whatever specific means or whatever, right? And again, this is like Saturn. This is clarifying the breath of Saturn. Saturn's like, okay, you want it? You want a hot body? You want a Bugatti? You want a Maserati? What you got to do? You already know what you got to do. Oh, this was Uranus. Okay. Now with intimate and the world, I kind of want to read intimate. Maybe intimate and the world. It's almost giving like the fundamental laws of nature, physics, and reality. It's like that's the intimate balance of forces. Intimate. The intimate brings sweet sensuality and an intuitive understanding of all your emotions and physical needs, moods, and temperature changes. Sensuality is also linked with copper. She has an infinite capacity for understanding your longings, whether it be sensual, erotic, or merely a need for a gentle comforting of your weary spirit. The intimate comes to you without artifice, and your night embrace is a sweet honeycombed tongue. I want to read the tale of the intimate. HI. I wish I could biplane across time back to Indochina before it changed its name. I would sit in a hot night damp bar. What? I would sit in a hot night damp bar under an electric fan, drinking iced beer and watching through blued cigar smoke the Eurasian couples dancing to the last notes of a perfumed era. And in my pocket, I would twist her emerald ring, slipping it on and off my finger, concentrating hard, summoning her back to this place that had once been ours. And when she comes to me in early hours, I shall arise, take her hand, and draw her into my lonely arms. Okay. My phone, I'm using my phone to go live. As I read that, with my assumption of what biplanning across time would be, because there were like notes of the historic, right, going back in time to Indochina back when the name was different, but also elements of the modern with the electric fan and like ice cold beer and stuff like that. This does mention remembrance, which has an aspect to the past. I love that this like golden Atlantean dragon is holding this crystal because she's giving soul retrieval. Maybe this is like finding the best of both worlds. Oh, here's the circle. Wind, the medicine wheel, the sun, the circle. I was like, I've seen the circle recently. Because like the future, we can look at the future. We can choose the past or a distortion of the past, right? And distortions of the past being like, if I could do anything differently, I would do this differently and I would do that differently. So we do all of these different things, but the different things that we choose are directly, like, are a direct response to something of the past. Like, there's a direct correlation. The heart of the sky, soul retrieval, and water. And soul retrieval, it's like dulled, but in the golden Atlantean dragon, its luster is restored. Right? So maybe it's like there's a difference between merely remembering, recalling something, and actively kind of like using it or allowing it to be whatever it is. There's nothing wrong inherently with living the solution, but it's almost like it ties itself to the same limitations as the past. Maybe intimate in the world, it's like as we move forward, as we transform, there are some things that are worth keeping, some things that are worth taking, some things that are worth bringing into the new year, the new season, the new cycle, the new era, right? I guess we are nearing the end of the galactic year. We'll be coming up on the day out of time and the next year in the dream spell Mayan calendar. I wasn't necessarily like looking for a final card. I just wanted to like shuffle these up. The sacrifice, upper world. So you could say part of the energy of the transformation will be solution, could be, can be solution to old problems. But it's almost like a don't stop dreaming too. It's like if transformation is possible, especially to the degree at which it may be, it's like we shouldn't just limit ourselves to the resolution of our woes. It's like we should still be going for the gold or like going for the dream. Or we can also do that. The tale of intimate is a merging of times and realities and worlds, right? To experience the beauty of Indochina, but to have the modern like comfort of like an electric fan and a cold beer and the hot night damp in a hot night damp environment, right? It's like wanting to go back and experiencing like going back in time, but not wanting to give up the comfort of like indoor plumbing. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I would love to see the dinosaurs roaming the earth, but I don't want to have to poop behind a leaf that's as big as my house. You know what I mean? It's like I would still love some comforts. And it is kind of a best of both worlds situation. Could be. It does. I'm looking at the star, the world, and the Three of Swords again. Um, it does make it not challenging. Like there's an element of acceptance. Again, with the whole continuous incarnation thing. There's an understanding of like, there's an energy of understanding a change in situation and experiences and the difficulty of it sometimes. And so it's like a gentle prodding to like remember, right? Like remember the things that you used to dream about. Remember the things that are important to you. Remember that it's almost like remember a time, remember what you wanted before life became what it has been for as long as it has been. And maybe that's what gives this crystal light. I'm not there, I don't know how to put it into words. The difference between this soul retrieval that's a light and the soul retrieval that was still dark. Um, it's like with this energy, it's like it's not just to recreate something, or it's not just, it's like it's more than just experiencing the past again. It's something precious, valuable, or important from the past applied to the context of today or tomorrow that makes a certain like path truly shine. Type energy. Cool. I don't think I can edit. I could probably pull up my laptop and edit this. I'm gonna say 2 hours and 5 minutes. I hope I can remember 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'll timestamp final cards here. Again, these cards are so interesting. But it's almost like, so like I'm thinking of the deep sea energy. In a place of this amount of pressure, if Saturn is atomizing, sublimating, evaporating, if Saturn is providing the gaseous gold, or maybe Neptune is providing, maybe they're both providing gold because it's the smoke and the fog. They're both providing gold in gaseous form. They're both contributing to the environment and the pressure that we experience. And it is a pressure that, like, these are the times where heroes are born and history is made. These are the times where we make choices as individuals and as societies. Again, like with, you could say, with the advent of like AI being like, I saw a news article about whether or not like the police should use AI to generate police reports. And that was wild to me because it's like, I was an RA, right? And when I was an RA, if there was an incident, I had to write an incident report. And it's like, it's wild to me that, also to clarify, I don't use ChatGPT. I just don't. I know it's like really helpful and stuff. I'm not a ChatGPT girly. So it's wild to me that like I would like log in to ChatGPT, like provide the framework for the incident report, plug in the details that, you know, I experienced, and like have it just spit it all out how, in whatever kind of way, because it's like you weren't there. You know what I mean? Like how 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 I don't know. I just don't get it. Anyway, they're like, the world is progressing on multiple fronts, and we are deciding, like, socioeconomically, politically, both, like internal and global, intra national and international politics. Like, history is like, you know, it's being made, and we're choosing. Well, I was going to say we're choosing what the textbooks are going to say in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but you know, they say that history is the tale told by the victors. So just because we're making certain choices and decisions don't necessarily mean that it's going to end up in somebody's history book. But when we are asked personally, we'll have our own stories, tales, and anecdotes, right? Yeah. There's a lot of cards. But again, the energy is like, we get to choose how we move forward, how our lives move forward. I feel like I've been hearing thunder rumbling in the jungle. These two are the same, and they're different cards. Not entirely. Goodness. Whichever one matches this. Oh, yeah, it's this one. It's you. How did I know that this was the deck where they all matched? I don't know. I don't know how I knew that was the deck where they all matched. That could have been not helpful. I would have just had to grab another one. Anyway, it's ultimately, it's fine. Yeah. But there are pathways. This is the whole thing. When I was talking yesterday, or when I was talking in the OJL about, it was with oleum vitrioli, oil of vitriol, and the plants and Emoto and the whole turbo pressure thing. If we could dictate and determine the course of events, we would limit and stymie the potential of something, because in life things have the potential to become much different than they were created to be. They have the potential to become much different than their intentions or the intention behind their creation. And again, it's that whole, like, it's not to abandon necessarily one for the other. We have the Son of Pentacles and the Daughter of Cups coming out. Ooh, they're like, she's like, I'm in the water and you're on land. And he's like, yeah, but like, you're a swan, right? Like, yes, you belong to the water, and yes, you belong to the air, but you're also capable of like using your two legs to like walk up on this water, girl. Like, and don't act like we can't exist in the same space. Like, you may not, I mean, and he could go in the water. He may not be able to fly up in the air where only she can, but they can meet on in the land, they can meet on the water. In the water, on land. Yeah, I was talking about, okay. I don't know if this gave what, honestly, like, I feel like sometimes, especially with some of the intentions when I go live, to do like a live general whatever, it's like, what was I expecting, right? Even if we're exposed to the same energy, we can have different experiences. So I don't know. It was just, I was listening to the video and I just like saw it in a different way. Like, Saturn and Neptune are providing the gaseous gold and the environment. We just have to be present and somewhat open. I'm assuming at certain pressures, things just happen, right? There's a certain amount of resistance that is just inherently overcome. Consent is not necessarily breached, but it's like, this is, if we can't get over ourselves, or if we're struggling in whatever way we're struggling, there are certain things that are like just gonna happen. But when the transit is over, when the planets continue to move, when the wheels and seasons and cycles change, then we have to, I almost want to say, like, hold our integrity, but it's like a bodily integrity. Like, we have to not blow up, basically, right? We have to keep those changes, continue to carry those changes with us as the seasons and cycles change, right? I had that thought. I was like, maybe it's just like trying not to get the bends after they go direct, right? Like, you were in the depths of the Marinara. I know it's not marinara, but you were at the depths of the trench. There is, what did it say, gold, hydrogen, gas. You can find stable gaseous gold naturally, just like how you can find. See, but what does that even mean? It was like, you can find it in much of the same like veins and pockets that maybe you find like petroleum. Yeah, but petroleum is like thick, amorphous, solid, liquid type whatever. It's not a gas. Imagine like you're digging for gold, right? Your intuition and discernment is telling you there is gold down there. X marks the spot. And it's subterranean. You're digging, and you don't see anything, right? You're like, where's the vein? Where's the mineral? Where's the crystals like hanging off the walls? And it's like, you hit a pocket of gold gas. It's a gas. It's in the air. You're breathing in gold. It's like, okay, well, I can't take that. You can't take that to the bank. What do? You pull out a bottle and just like hold it up to the air and twist the lid on it. Do you like You like breathe it in and then breathe it out into a balloon and take the balloon to the bank. Anyway, all of that will be provided. But when the transit is over, when we're resurfacing, are we like going to get the bins? You know? I don't even know how that would affect somebody. I don't know if anyone knows. Well, I won't say anyone. Oh, if anyone. Cool. I don't know. The Piezo 10 did come out with Neptune. I don't know how so we got into the whole Turger, Four of Wands, weak forces, electromagnetism. I was like, it's not electromagneticity. I was like, what is it? We got into the whole weak forces, electromagnetivity of it all. Tivity. But not the 10, the piezo, whatever. Some of the gold we take in, some of the gold we already have, right? Remembrance and awakening and stuff like that. So the rest will shine under pressure, under pressure. And that's like the music or the sound or the light or the electricity that pressure stimulates in us. I'm like putting so many cards away. Okay, we're gonna do a quick and dirty 3 shuffle, cut, top of the deck to get the final cards and put these away. I'm not gonna shuffle. I don't even know if this makes sense. Take it as resonates. If it resonates, if it don't resonate, don't take it. 9 of Cups, 9 of Wands. There we go. We see water and fire again. Justice in the 9 of Wands. The Empress and Justice. Is that Libra? The Empress is Venus. Justice is Libra. The whole family is there except Taurus, the Hierophant. Oh, I said I would cut. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Bottom of the deck is the Devil and the 5 of Pentacles. See, that's wilty flower. That's low turgor pressure. That's the cell membranes pulling away from the cell walls. And it's just like drooping. Under the 5 of Pentacles is the 3 of Swords. Under the 3 of Swords is the Hanged Man. Under the Hanged Man is the Chariot, but this is a stalled Chariot energy. Because this 3 of Swords, it's that blockage. Oops. Sorry. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Yep, light's still green. The Hangman behind that 3 of Swords. I'm trying to think of the word. Therapeutically, there are things that we do to keep ourselves in the game. And when we have the resources and the time, the energy, we can make efforts to heal and work through some of the deeper stuff, if necessary, if applicable. But this Hangman is like a masking. And it's almost like things, either it's not necessarily things can never get better, almost like things can never get better if we can't acknowledge the worst or the worse. It's like it, I mean, the Three of Swords is a heavy energy. Now, that could be narratives that we tell ourselves to justify whatever. It could be a lot of many things, but it makes it really, really challenging. It makes it really difficult to put that Three of Swords energy behind us when we never face what happened. It makes us susceptible to that devil energy to the point where it's not necessarily like wasting the opportunity. That came out at some point. The Emperor and the Golden Shield, where it was like, it's almost a different circumstance. Where it's like, if we get a wish, and we can wish for anything, and let's say the most pressing thing in our life is like something that costs $100, but it's like really, really important, and it occupies much of our mental space and capacity. Someone's like, here's a blank check, write the number that you need in it or want, and take it to the bank. And because like that $100 is pressing on us, we're like, I just need $100 to pay this one time, regardless if it's like a recurring expense or whatever. I just really need $100 to like make it through. We write the check for $100, we cash it. We're thankful, we're grateful, we're relieved, as we should be. But then, the next month, the next day, the next expense comes along. And it's like, we had a blank check. We could have, this is tricky territory because it's not to be like greedy. But it's like we could have asked for more than what our immediate circumstance like required or demanded from us. I feel like that metaphor works better when it's not about money, but it's low hanging fruit, or maybe it doesn't, because it's like, I don't, it's like, it's fulfilling an immediate need, right? And we would be grateful. And it's almost like, I don't know if it like spits in the face of gratitude to like ask for more, right? If you have a blank check and you can write anything, and the bank can cash anything, and the person issuing the check can fund anything, then why limit oneself to like immediate needs and necessity when you have the opportunity to make like your desires and your dreams and your goals, not goals, but like your desires and your dreams and like what your heart's truest desires come true. I don't know, it's hard to, I feel like it's hard to explain and it not come across as like be selfish and greedy and ungrateful. The tension with the memory keeper at the bottom of the deck. Jupiter in Capricorn sextile the sun in Scorpio. Excuse me. Under the memory keeper is the Empress. Orania's Gate, Gloria Mundi. What's interesting is, actually, no, not in this deck. I thought one of these wheels had the zodiac signs on it. Well, maybe that's the point. The wheel is on the wheel with the zodiac signs is on the head of the Empress. Under the Empress is the Holy Grail, the Ace of Cups. Again, on the moon you see the lunar cycles, which makes sense. Usually on the other wheel we would see the zodiac signs. But that wheel is on the head of the Empress. And it connects her crown and her third eye. It's almost like seeing greater cycles. It's like if you could think back to your childhood self. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up? With the memory keeper? Well, now the keeper is here. The memory keeper and the keeper. What did you want to be when you grow up? And then with attention, it's like, and how could you do that to make the world a better place? Or how could you apply what you wanted to be when you grew up to your current life that would give it a meaning that is suitable now, or for moving into the future? Like, if you wanted to be a doctor, if you wanted to be a doctor, but you didn't know what kind of doctor. Like, let's say you wanted to be a doctor when you, medical school is a thing. But hey, you could be a holistic doctor. You could use ancestral, traditional knowings and medicine. So hey, you used to want to be a doctor, and something happened in life, and you became super passionate about whatever. Now you can be a doctor who gives healing and help to like that specific cause, and it takes the memory that's kept and it uses a current lens to like color out the picture, and like it's like that's when the stone glows. That's when the remembrance or the retrieval has like found its place to shine, rather than just reclaiming it with soul retrieval. Again, the Two of Pentacles has come out. This one is interesting to me. Sometimes in the Two of Pentacles, I'll see a ship that's like on the calm part of the water, and then a ship that's in the turbulent part, and they may be like moving in opposite directions. In this card, it feels like the sailboat is behind these turbulent waters. Also, she is more clearly focused on one of these pentacles rather than the other. I ain't saying she giving me low-key, like, not energy vampire, but it's like she's draining from this one to give to that one. That could be a redistribution of her energy and efforts, right? This thing is phasing out. It's not as important to me anymore, and this one is. So I'm going to apply my energy, efforts, and focus appropriately. Bottom of the deck is the Three of Swords. Again with the Three of Swords. This time the Eight of Cups is behind the Three of Swords. And the Ace of Cups is behind that Eight of Cups. Because it's the Eight of Cups, it's like getting enough distance again, to receive or to know what one truly wants and desires. It's not as tied to that Three of Swords. It's not as restricted. Also, there's like the yin yang necklace that she's wearing. Something about that ship being behind the troubled, choppy waters is very interesting to me. Maybe it exists beyond like emotional turmoil because the Three of Swords is there at the bottom of the deck and the Eight of Cups is there. That she gives like tired though. It's like someone who's tired of being hurt or like disappointed or whatever. And so they just like stop being hurt. Right? It's like if someone does, like if someone's job is very like taxing and toxic, and there's a lot of like stress about the job because like you need it, and but it's like every day it's like getting worse and worse. It's like that day where you wake up and you're like, you know what, I quit. Like I'm just like, I'm tired of the toxicity, I'm tired of the nervousness, I'm tired of whatever, and you just like, you quit, you step away from it. And then you find something that like you really like, that like lights you up. You make yourself available for the miracle. I ain't telling nobody to do anything. If you got bills to pay, mouths to feed, you ain't got another job lined up. And it's like, if you ain't gotta get in this job market, girl, it may be better than not. Yeah. But it is like reaching that sort of breaking point. Ooh, the Four Wands. Let's see, I'm gonna go for it. Oh, goodness. Kind of, sort of. All right. Ten of Cups. Love it. With the King of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. The Four of Pentacles behind the King of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles behind the King of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. With the Ten of Cups, this is to be discerning with where you invest your time, energy, and effort. Especially to go from one situation to the other. To go from that Two of Pentacles, Three of Swords. It's like not one of those out of the pan to the fire situations. It's not to pursue or seek more of what wasn't working. It's not trading one worry and woe for another. Again, it was on that energy of like what you make yourself available to, your heart's truest desires, and finding that. That was the Eight of Cups, the Ace of Cups, having like a Nine of Cups energy, and then the Ten of Cups. But it's like that's the kind of transformation that's available. But when we get sort of stuck in the immediacy of today, we kind of sort of limit ourselves when we don't have to. It's like finding a Goldilocks. 1, 2, 3. We have surrender, number 28, letting go of the darkness. This is one of the cards where the face is more prominent than the dragon. I love how like green it is. Bottom of the deck is dominance, believing in yourself. This is such an interesting dichotomy. 228. Hey, that's my birthday. I see 228 all over the place. Under dominance is culmination, completion, and renewal. So we have surrender and dominance. I feel like alone, they seem to be diametrically opposed, question mark. But especially in like the clarification of it, they're not. Believing in yourself and letting go of the darkness. These two things do not compete with one another. Even though dominance and surrender may. This could be, because again, here, the face is so much bigger than the dragon. And the dragon is more prominent in the other. This could be like a light, dark sort of balance interaction. Right? Let's say the dragon is dark and it's in the space of dominance, and the self is light and it's in the space of surrender. So there's this like, again, with the yin yang of the two of coins, two of pentacles, there's this meeting place between them. This is like a one of the areas where these two meet, it's like a self-confidence is the only way it's coming to my mind. What's interesting is it feels like this energy is incredibly powerful, but it would be perceived as ego and demonized. Because it's almost like this is ego in its truest sense, and like a knowing of who one is, a knowing of oneself, and an absolute anchoring in it. And it's like, if you truly believe in yourself, anchor in yourself, you can surrender everything else. And it's like, it's something that's like faith. I was born and raised in the church. And it's like the faith that I've seen people talk about, and the faith that people have in God, where they could surrender everything else. I haven't seen this much on like a Facebook post recently, where it's like, it doesn't matter what's happening, or the people who believe in the divine. However, like, it doesn't matter what's happening or what's transpiring. My faith in the divine is not shaken, and I know that I'm going to be okay. I can surrender everything else because I believe in the divine that strongly. But this shifts the belief from the divine to the self, and it's not inherently competitive, right? It's like you can believe in the divine that lives in and through you. You can have faith in your ability to follow your discernment, intuition, and your ability to abide by what the divine has in store for you, or the divine according to your design. Right? Like, that can be a factor in your belief in yourself. I believe that whatever I need to do that is in divine alignment for the highest good in the situation, I will do. And the rest I can let go of, type energy. And again, like this, it doesn't feel like ego, but it reads like what someone would call ego, and it reads like what someone would demonize. And in the quote unquote wrong hands, from a certain perspective, it reads like someone who may not whatever, but it's like it's a multifaceted faith, you could say, or it's a multifaceted belief, and that belief does not exclude the divine. Cool. I'm like all up in the camera. All up in the camera. What am I gonna eat? We'll put this one away next. Pluto, undeniable power. There again. Pluto is also sextiling Uranus. Pluto, I don't have my phone. I mean, I don't have Time Nomad, but I'm pretty sure Pluto is still early Aquarius. So as Saturn and Neptune retrograde Aries back into Pisces, not only should they be sextiling Uranus and Gemini pretty tightly, they'll also be sextiling Pluto and Aquarius pretty tightly, and then Pluto and Uranus would be trining each other, Gemini and Aquarius. But that plays into the way that I kind of sort of approached the weak bonds, weak forces, and electromagnetism, right? And that it was like, one is as powerful as 1,000. The one that holds, yeah. Smoke. All right. One, 2, 3. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? Oh my goodness. Cool, love it. I'm 2 cards flipped out. Guess what one of the cards is? If you guess Pluto, you're right. The other card that came out under Pluto is Ether, the Void. 10 and 42. This being 42 is interesting. I don't know if Kim did that on purpose. This is something that like or when people do like, this is one of my new favorite, like, I don't know. You did that. I don't know. 42, what's the meaning of life? 42, she, death. It's the void. Bottom of the deck is Spiritus Rector, Benevolent Guide. This is like a channeler. Oh, girl. Let me engage is that like the Pan thing? I've never seen Pan's Labyrinth. I just know he has like eyeballs on his hands. I was like, let me engage my eyeball hands and feel. With this combination of cards, low hanging fruit is there is a great source of power somewhere that is divine in nature, and it's to be a channel or a guide for that power. It's almost like in the Bible, in the New Testament, God sent Jesus to earth, and Jesus was like, earth ain't no joke. It can be challenging, it can be difficult. So maybe some of the folks that was sentenced to hell, maybe we were a little harsh. And some of them left, some of them didn't leave. But it's like instead of Is that a hand? I've never noticed this hand before. Orpheus, is that you? There's a hand reaching for the part of the web that Pluto has wiped away. So maybe we are in that channel energy. Anyway, it's like, because the way that I envision that, it's like Jesus came, lived a life, did the miracles thing, had all the impacts that he had, died. I don't know if it was in between the first, like when he died and rose again, or if it's after he rose again. I don't know the chronology of when he went down to hell to set the captive souls free. But it's like it all happened after he died. And so for however long that his life was, I think like 30 something maybe, it's like nothing was happening. But it's almost like with this energy, things can happen like in real time. Like someone is a guide or a channel to utilize these divine forces in benevolent ways. Under that is sparks of light. Introducing sparks of light to the void. Cool, love it. Stars in the sky. Is that like a binary star system energy out here? I see like two stars pretty close together. Yeah. So it's like, or it could be the energy of like not needing to die to experience heaven. That's at like the surface of this energy. Through us, divine is looking to make changes in real time. This void, it was full moon Scorpio, where the tower was in it, I'm pretty sure. I had it and then I lost it. Oh, the void who is with the proximity to the abyss. And at the heart of the void, we find an interface between the internal and external. We go so far inside, we emerge outside again. At that interface, if we make internal changes that close to the mirror, we see it reflected like more quickly and more easily. In the Mystic Mondays Tarot, in the Hermit and Judgment, I believe, there are like two mirrors, right? And so that came the two interfaces, right? As within, so without, as above, so below. And it's like there's this immediate interface, right? Behind the eyes. And we're like, okay, I am internal, as within, so without. I can make these surface level changes internally and expect something to be mirrored externally. With that, that could be the Quicksilver flash in the pan. What was it? Quicksilver, Neptune, and whatever that other card was like, it feels like a flash in the pan. Like it's creating something. It was the uncreated. Quicksilver, Neptune, and the uncreated, where it's like, it's not sustainable. But it's like when you go to the further interface, when you go so far inside that you will reemerge outside, that's where we really move things. That energy is kind of here in Pluto and the abyss. But also, or Pluto and the void, because this is the realm of undeniable power. This is not the underworld. And just like the last cards of surrender and dominance looked like it could read as ego and somebody being like super egoic and someone trying to elevate themselves to whatever, this could read as an underworld energy, but this is not the underworld. This is the void. And Pluto is our closest contact to the void because it's the planet that's the farthest from the sun. Right? And so it's because it's the planet that's furthest from the sun, it's the planet that is closest to the outer bounds of our solar system. All right, I have 3 more decks. Cool. Oh, gosh, that doesn't count. That does not count. I don't even know where they went. Oh, we have the Illuminator and the Fatalist. I shuffled this deck because these cards fell out from the middle. I was pulling the cards and like off the table, and cards from the middle of the deck fell on the floor. And like with the last thing, with that void not being the underworld, take it as it resonates. Because again, these past few months especially, I've been in a space of like, I've always been open to other things. Or like, that's why I would say my thing is to provide a different perspective, because I know that not everyone is me. But I had a point. I forgot it. Not everyone is necessarily wired the same way. So maybe not everyone interacts and works with the divine in the same way. Like, I'm the type of person where I would prefer to do things myself rather than to have the divine do it for me. Because it's my life. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's not a complacency thing, but like there are things that I want to accomplish in my life. It's almost like there are things that I want to accomplish in my life, and I have this parent who is very wealthy and very well connected, and like I could use their money to start a company, I could use their connections to enter an industry, but like I want to do it myself. I want to build up my own money, create my own network, and like build up the thing for me. And like my parents are there when and if I need them, but I would prefer to not have to. So with the whole like this may read as ego, or because it's like maybe it's kind of like being a conduit for the divine. I don't know. IDK. But it's like I don't know. All right. We'll do. Oh, girl, don't even give me a chance. I've seen these two together before. We have the survivor and the observer. The survivor and the observer. This is such an interesting energy. Because it's like, what's also interesting is in the Star Dragons, the card of dominance. I don't think it's here. I think it was at the bottom. Yeah, the card of dominance is the box art. And in the archeo archetypes, the observer is the box art. So we're seeing the art on the cards. Bottom of the deck is, who are you? The poet. Are you in reverse? I don't think so. What an interesting trio. The survivor, the observer, and the poet. Imagine someone was living in Shakespearean times and they're still alive today, but they kept some of their grammatical spoken nuances, whatever, from that time period. It would be easy to like talk to that person or to listen to that person speak and assume that they're a poet because the way that they talk is from a different time. And like meanwhile they could be like, girl, like this is just how people talk where I'm from. You know what I mean? The poet reads like the conception. I'm gonna read the persona of the survivor, right? No, I'm gonna read the attribute of the survivor and the persona of the observer. OPQRS? Oh, there was the observer. Cool. Cool, cool. The survivor has been called many names: ragamuffin, urchin, gutter snipe, tatterdemalion. But at his core, he's a proudly independent forager. Some might try to label him amoral, but when the center fails to hold and things fall apart, leaving the landscape a wreck of hardship, then the survivor's ethics become apparent. He functions in the gaps left by inequality and has no fear of draconian authority. Always the shrewd pragmatist, he makes certain that he and his companions never starve. He's an inquisitive watcher wishing to comprehend the way others think and act. When encountering a stranger, he begins with pathology, looking carefully at the way a person holds their body. Are their shoulders up or down? Do they stick their chin out pugnaciously or do they let it hang slack? Are their eyes still or sliding? The observer watches without judgment. He mimics them, arranging his body to fit theirs. Once he has become them, he asks, what is my attitude towards the world? He watches the way they carry themselves, how they sit and stand. He takes note of the small details in their appearance. Are they slovenly or squeaky clean? Do they seek admiration or proclaim rebellion? Are their fingernails chewed in anxiety? Do they fret with their hair? Are they masked in makeup or naked faced and openly exposed? Are their shoes polished or scuffed? Do they frown or smile around the eyes? He looks for signs of mood swing and temperature change. Do they tend to be first or last to speak? Do they sense when to stop talking, or are they inclined to blather? The observer sets aside his prejudices, including his assumptions, fears, attractions, and repulsions. He understands the misuse of his powers of perception will backfire and cause self-damage. I'm gonna check the intimate really quick. Yeah, the intimate brings sweet sensuality and intuitive understanding of all your emotional and physical needs, moods, and temperature changes. I was like, I've seen temperature changes today. See, the observer and the survivor low key give me the energy of the Clark Kent yesterday with the Ten of Swords, right? Because it's like it's the persona of the survivor to blend in with their surroundings, much like the observer did. But when the center fails to hold, and things fall apart, when the landscape is devolving into a wreck of hardship, that's when he like comes into his truth. That's when he stops blending in and he starts to stand out. He functions in the gaps left by inequality and has no fear of draconian authority. He makes certain that he and his companions never starve. He makes sure that he's not, even if he's laying on the ground and those 10 swords are above him, he's going to make sure that he's not pierced, type energy. But he's going to, like, you know, go through the motions like everyone else. We'll read the tale of the poet. Sometimes, when she wasn't looking, the flowers would escape from the vase. She tried to draw them back in, but they seemed to have a mind of their own. Small colored abstractions arranged and rearranged themselves across the page. Even though she'd been the one to choose their hues and shades, she had little say in their formations and compositions. Often they'd dance all day, picking partners here and there, gyrating and bumping wildly off the paper's borders. Occasionally, however, they'd stand still, as if refusing to listen to the music of the spheres that guided them hither and thither. That is such like a tense energy. It's like, again, like the flowers multicolored, hard to control, like going in sort of like in the day to day, like the observer, hither and thither, partnering and repartnering, gyrating, bumping, but sometimes they'll stand still. What did it say? As if refusing to listen to the music of the spheres that guided them hither and thither. And there's something about not necessarily the mischaracterization of the person. This feels, again, going back to that Clark Kent energy, going back to, it's a string, it's a thread that we've been unraveling since the end of, no, all year, since the beginning of the year. When I went back to London and I got the story engine cards of the divine like revealing itself in some way. It's the Clark Kent of like, again, with like the Ten of Swords and the Knight of Wands energies of like not pretending like they're going through life like the rest of us, but when faced with the Ten of Swords, they're not pierced. When faced with the Nine of Wands, they're not tattered, bruised, broken, or bloody. And it's almost, there's the part of it that's like fitting in. I haven't seen the new Superman movie, by the way, but I've seen like reels and stuff, like pieces and parts of interviews or whatever. Um, it feels like there is an image or an expectation of what divinity through man looks like, talks like, walks like, sounds like. And then there's the reality of like what it is. And it's not, it is kind of giving a performance. It is, but it isn't, but it is. it is a performance because it's like it's what we are exposed to as like, this is what embodiment and like living, walking, talking, breathing divinity and high consciousness and whatever looks like. So in that, it's a performance. When we, within our own healing journeys, reach a certain point where we like embody that, it's not a performance, because that is us living out what we've observed or what we know to be whatever. But it is ultimately a performance because that may or may not necessarily be true, right? It's like the actor getting lost in their role to the point where like now they believe that they are this character. It's like a biopic of someone who's still alive, and like the person gets lost in the role, they get lost in all of the material, where like they are convinced that they are this person, but like the person who is still alive is that person. You know what I mean? Why are you in reverse? The deep blue dragon is in reverse. The only one I've seen in reverse so far. Keeps you safe by clearing your pathway. Trust that you are protected. Walk on a path of light. That deep blue was giving me drowned king energy, right? With the whole under pressure. All right, we got 2 more decks. Is this like 3 hours? 3 hours and 7 minutes. I've been doing final cards for an hour. It's fine. All right, 2, 1, and cut. Bottom of the deck is Air Dragon. Helps you rise above earthly matters. Communicate honestly. Brings inspiration and hope. See life from a higher perspective. Both smoke, breath, and fog are functions of air. Well, you could say breath is like a function of spirit more so than like air, but we breathe in a gas and we breathe out a different one. So, through gross oversimplification and base, I want to say like base morgification. What's going on with just like the dysmorgification, the base morgification? There's like a base transmorgification, kind of like it's low hanging fruit in my brain. It's like deer and reem, right? How, if you haven't seen, I don't know if she's talked about it recently. I mean, she's the rare gazelle now, so I don't think she has to talk about it anymore. But it's like, because she said that her name is like, it means gazelle, and it's like this white gazelle that was like really rare. But nowadays, they're basically myth. So the word has come to mean deer, right? So that's like a oversimplification and a base morgification of what that, of like the rare gazelle. It's like we've taken the word and we've applied it to common everyday circumstance. And going back to the acting, it can make us feel better, right? I forget. I've seen something recently, and someone was like, it's very human for people to make their gods like them. Maybe it was an audiobook I was listening to. Um, and again, like with the metaphor of Reem, it's like, or not even with the metaphor of Reem, with the whole like acting but not acting thing. It's like we don't want to feel like I feel some, it's fine. We don't want to feel so grossly inadequate or unworthy or whatever to the point where anything that should be venerated, like we destroy the base, the foundation, the platform that it stands on, bring it down to our level, and then strive for that. And when we hit the mark, when we set the difficulty to extremely easy and we put the handicap all the way up to the point where we basically don't have to really do anything, it makes it very easy for us to like convince ourselves into thinking, believing that we are whatever. But that's not the truth of what the thing is. That's the truth of what we made the thing, because to feel better about ourselves. I don't know. I was thinking about when my manager was like, like you under promise and over deliver, like reduce the bar, put the bar in the ground so that no matter what you do, you're meeting expectations. And I'm not that kind of person. Um, and I remember I saw a reel, and I thought about that because I saw a reel, I think last night, that was like, some people say that high performers are difficult to manage, but they're not difficult to manage. It's like if you're a manager or if you're a person that tries to get by with doing the least, and you have a high performer and you have a person who is like interested and invested in doing their job well and doing their job right. And if you're like cutting corners and whatever, of course they're going to call you out on it or they're going to ask questions. And then there's going to be this tense relationship. Right. Again, like metaphors for this. So like with the whole acting thing, like it's not acting, but it is, but it isn't, but it is. Ultimately it is. But it's possible for us to be so convinced that the bar is as low as it is that we genuinely see ourselves as whatever. But then when we don't have the power and authority that that level of sovereignty grants us, there's like this disconnect. And that disconnect can devolve into a whole bunch of whatever, right?